All right, let's talk about the POCO X7 Pro. This is a phone that gets thrown around a lot with the title Ultimate Value, the best bang for your buck. Today, we're going to dig into a long-term user review to see if all that hype is actually deserved.
So here's the big question we're trying to answer. Is this really the ultimate budget phone? Does it give you that top-tier flagship-level power, but for a crazy low price? We're going to follow one user's experience after months of using it every single day, because this isn't about how it feels out of the box, it's about how it holds up when real life happens.
And when we say low price, this is what we're talking about. The person who wrote this review grabbed it during an Amazon sale for about 45,000 yen. Seriously, just burn that number into your brain, because when you see the specs we're about to go over, that price is going to sound kind of impossible.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with that supposed flagship-level power on paper. Then, we'll see how it does in a real-world gaming test. After that, we'll look at the battery. Can it last all day? And finally, we'll get into the really important stuff, the deal breakers, and who this phone is actually for.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The reviewer has had this thing for months, using it day in and day out. How did it really stack up over the long haul?
First up, let's talk about the specs, because when you just look at the hardware sheet, the POCO X7 Pro seems, well, it seems less like a budget phone and more like an absolute monster.
Okay, this is where that 45,000 yen price starts to feel kinda nuts. You're getting a Dimensity powerhouse chip, a super smooth 120Hz OLED screen, a gigantic battery with ridiculously fast charging, and even a top-tier IP68 durability rating. Any one of these is a premium feature, but getting all of them together in a phone this affordable? That's pretty much unheard of. And hey, if you want to put a number on that power, its score on the Antutu benchmark is over 1.6 million. Now, for some perspective, that doesn't just put it in the ring with expensive flagship phones, it puts it right in their corner. So on paper, the raw power is definitely there.
But you know, benchmarks aren't everything, right? The real test is how all that power actually translates to playing heavy-duty games. So let's see what the reviewer found out. And right off the bat, the verdict is really, really good. For the big, popular, graphics-heavy games that most of us are playing, this phone is an absolute beast. It just flies.
I mean, they found that huge games like Genshin Impact were just incredibly smooth, but here's the real kicker. The reviewer actually said that in some spots, the POCO stuttered less than their iPhone 14. For a phone that costs just a tiny fraction of an iPhone, that's a massive deal.
Okay, but this is where the story gets a little weird. As amazing as that performance sounds, the reviewer found a huge catch that kind of changes everything.
It turns out that incredible power is strangely picky. It destroys popular games, but on some less common ones, it just completely falls on its face. A game called Grand Mountain Adventure was almost unplayable, dipping below 5 frames per second. And the strangest part, that same game runs perfectly fine on way weaker phones. This points to a big optimization issue. It's like the phone's processor is a superstar athlete that's only trained for the big leagues, and this problem even popped up in Google's own Gemini AI app after using it for a while.
So, what about heat? After about 90 minutes of heavy gaming, yeah, it gets hot. But it's all about the comparison, right? The reviewer said the POCO was warm, but you could still hold it comfortably. Their iPhone 14, on the other hand, felt like it could burn your hand. So even when it's working hard, it seems to handle the heat better than some of the top dogs.
A powerful phone is useless if the battery's dead by noon. Now, this thing has a massive 6,000 milliamp hour battery, so expectations are sky high. Let's see how it actually survived a normal day for the reviewer.
Okay, check this out. They start the day with a full charge. Then they hit it with some heavy gaming on the train, a bit of Google Maps for navigation, an hour of streaming video, and some social media before bed. And after all of that, the phone still had between 30 and 40% of its battery left. That's not just all-day battery life. For most of us, that's all day and don't worry about tomorrow battery life.
Insane power, amazing battery. It sounds almost perfect, doesn't it? But this is where we get to the deal breakers, the really critical trade-offs that you just have to accept if you buy this phone.
And here it is, the single biggest problem. The phone is missing support for something called Felica. Now, for those who don't know, this is a super fast technology that's absolutely essential for Japan's mobile wallet system, or Osaifu Keitai. Without it, you can't use your phone for train passes like Suica or for a ton of everyday payments. For users in that market, this isn't just an annoying little issue, it's a massive, crippling flaw.
So let's just lay it all out. The pros are just fantastic. Mind-blowing performance for the money, a gorgeous screen, super fast charging, and a battery that just will not die.
But the cons, they're just as serious. No Felica for those key mobile payments, that really bizarre performance instability with some apps, and the fact that it can run pretty hot.
And that brings us right back to our main question. With this very specific mix of incredible strengths and pretty significant weaknesses, who is the POCO X7 Pro actually for?
So the ideal person for this phone is really specific. It's someone who spends most of their time playing popular mainstream games. It's someone who doesn't need to use their phone as a train pass or for tap to pay everywhere. And most importantly, it's someone whose #1 priority is getting the absolute most raw power for the lowest possible price. If that sounds like you, then yeah, this phone is basically a dream come true.
So in the end, the trade-off here is crystal clear. The POCO X7 Pro gives you truly shocking power for its price, but in return, you have to give up a huge convenience like a reliable mobile wallet, and you have to accept that it might not play nice with every single app. So the final question really isn't about the phone, it's about you. What do you value more?